at the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. Picked off. Look out. Get back Manners. And it's Tracy Porter taking it all the way. Touchdown, New Orleans.
You're listening to the Pigskin Project, the world's #1 football podcast. Now, with more insights on all things football, here are your hosts, Ben Hansen and Ryan Matthews.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 25. It's been 25 weeks of this stuff. Thank you guys for, tagging along with us and everything like that. It's been a blast. We're having a blast. But a little bit of a audio switch. But without further ado, bringing in my co-host here, Ben Hansen. How you doing, buddy?
Phenomenal. You're doing great.
What'd you do today, man? You sound like
yeah, I just worked today, basically. Working guy. So
Gotcha.
You do anything fun today?
Me and Caitlin, or Caitlin and I, we went to the beach to go and watch the sunset. That was pretty cool. But
we're not allowed to curse on this podcast, right?
Whoa, hold on a minute. But yeah, no, I mean, we had some fun doing that. That was a first for us. It was a good little date idea. But I mean, it was something a little special. But nice. I mean, it's been a good week though. I mean, I was I was sick for a little bit, but it's okay because we're back now, full strength. We're fine. Ate some bad peanut butter, man. It's a bad story. Yeah, not good. Anyways, but through the week, through lots of rest and everything, I was able to read up on a lot of NFL news because what else did I have to do? Including arguably the biggest news out of the week being the Browns sending quarterback Baker Mayfield to the Panthers for a conditional 2024 fifth-round pick and will pay, $10.5 million worth of salary as part of the deal. Mayfield will be taking a $3.5 million pay cut to make the trade possible. However, it can be earned back through incentives. Carolina will take on $5 million of the contract. And Baker won't be given the quarterback one job yet, so he won't start right out of the gate, though he will fight with Sam Darnold for that spot just to see if that can happen, which, and by all means,
it's team speak. It's team speak. You can't just outright say that, but I mean, if Baker Mayfield isn't starting week 1, two things would have had to happen. Either A, which is very unlikely, Sam Darnold has just become the next Tom Brady, which is just not going to happen. Or B, number 2, something majorly went wrong with Baker Mayfield and he's struggling to learn the playbook, or he got hurt, or something had to have gone wrong for him, which is more likely, but I would still bet money that Baker is the quarterback week 1.
Against the Browns.
Yeah, which is going to be fun as all get out.
Yeah, that's got to be must-watch TV for sure. But I had a slight question too. This is something that's being discussed right now, especially after the news and everything. But as soon as this trade happens, I jotted this down. As far as the Baker Mayfield deal goes, how does this affect Jimmy Garoppolo's trade market or value? Because if you think about it, what other team needs a quarterback right now that hasn't already drafted one, signed one, or traded for one already? And then on top of that, the thing is his market has to be worth noting as well. A big, talking point for, what's the word? Negotiating point for the two teams had to have been Baker's contract. So with Jimmy G making so much more than Baker, he's also been to a Super Bowl though. So what do you think, how do you think his trade market or value has been scaled after this trade?
Well, throughout this entire, process of just the Baker Mayfield news is it's always been a 2-team race. Probably within the past week, it kind of looked like Carolina has overtaken that race. It was shocker. I mean, obviously Carolina was the one to win, but the other team was the Seahawks. And the other news that goes hand in hand with this is the Seahawks have come out and said they are like A-okay in planning on having Geno Smith and Drew Lock be their quarterbacks, which I can't see. I just can't.
I mean, Geno did all right stepping in, but I don't think he started quality.
He's not starting. He can't. He can't start unless they want to tank and they want to get a CJ Stroud. Maybe, but I can't even see that. If they wanted to tank, then they would have fired Pete Carroll. So they have to do something. So I do think Jimmy G is probably a 49er week 1, but I think by like week 3 or 4, I think the Seahawks are going to be like, okay, yeah, neither of these guys are getting it done. And I think it's pretty much a matter of time until Jimmy G is a Seahawk.
Yeah. And I do want to say too, I mean, I called it if Jimmy G stays a 49er because a few weeks back, I don't know if you remember, but one of my bold takes was that Jimmy G will not only stay a 49er, so this is half correct so far. I said that Jimmy G was going to stay a 49er, and then he was also going to win out the starting job week 1. So I don't think it's too far-fetched. But anyways, so next up is the Steelers are not intending on paying Deontay Johnson anywhere near what some wide receivers has been getting paid this offseason. Do you think that this could potentially like reset what wide receivers are kind of getting paid? Because I mean, no, you think that it's just going to go steadily like up from here?
It's because as the cap increases, so is the contracts, and just because the Steelers are stupid, and say to themselves, we're not going to pay him, that doesn't mean he's not going to get his payday somewhere else. I do think, again, I'll stand by what I said before. I mean, they would be stupid to not pay him, and I do think that he will end up getting paid. I don't think it's going to be with a $30 million ballpark that
Christian
Tyreek Hill is making, but I think
him too,
probably, but I think it's probably going to be, if I had to guess, it'd probably be 22, 23 million. And I do think he'll end up staying a Steeler because, again, if and to your first point, even if the Steelers don't pay him, someone else will, i.e. the Bears or something like that.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. I mean, that's another one of my bold takes that I've said in previous episodes. I mean, I even said Deontay Johnson's going to be a Bear at some point because one team's not going to want to pay him and this team will. This guy's got a crazy amount of talent. I feel like he's not going to be number 2. And if George Pickens is going to be number 1, which, I mean, there's a chance. I mean, next up, we got another AFC North team. The Browns have signed Jacoby Brissett earlier this offseason under the assumption that Deshaun Watson would only be suspended for the first quarter of the season. Deshaun Watson and his legal team have since rejected the NFL's offer to suspend him for only 12 games on top of that. I was thinking about this on my ride home today, and I was like, man, like Deshaun Watson's legal team really has to be pretty faithful that he didn't do anything wrong or that he can come to a settlement with these people. So either Deshaun Watson's a great businessman or, I mean, this is just pure faith in this guy. I mean, 12 games, I would go as far as to say that's generous for an offer. I think they're pushing for 8 at most for Deshaun Watson's team, but that's a very, very generous offer for them to just be like, just 12 games and then you could play this upcoming season. Like, wow. Okay. Especially because, I mean, you suspended Calvin Ridley for gambling for a whole season. Like, this is the same league. I mean, they've got to figure out something. I mean, in all honesty, this is just terrible. But I'll let you speak your piece on this one as well. So go for it.
I'm not. We can just move on. We know where I stand. I don't have to. I'm
pretty sure I took the words out of your mouth anyway.
Well, it's not even
generous.
that. At this point, I've said what I needed to say about him, and I feel like I'm repeating myself. So if you're listening to the podcast, you know how I feel about the whole Deshaun Watson stuff. So I don't really. My viewpoint on him being a scumbag has not changed. So
okay, that's fair. I mean, it's a fair standpoint. Lastly, for weekly news, the Bears are discussing adding a dome to Soldier Field instead of moving their team to Arlington International Racecourse, which would officially make this team the stadium the most hideous in the league. But it's already, I mean, it's not really a good looking stadium. I mean, I'll be completely honest, dude, they need an update, man. They need some kind of an upgrade. I love Soldier Field, like the history behind it and everything. They can keep it how it is. They don't need to demolish it for any reason. In fact, they're kind of landlocked with, they're not going to add more parking room because they don't have space for it. By going to Arlington, this is like, I mean, I'm sure we've already talked about it before after they bought the land. But the thing is like, there's so much room for potential at Arlington. There's, I mean, Super Bowls. I mean, domes. I mean, yes, you're getting rid of bear weather, but the thing is like, you're also making it so that you can sell more tickets and make more money. Like, does it suck that they would kind of be out of Chicago? Yeah. Does it suck that I would be able to take a train to go and see my favorite team? Like, yeah. But at the same time, like, they're doing so much cooler things. One of the things that I've said in the podcast too was that Minnesota, I love Minnesota. I mean, their team, their mascot, their colors, everything, sorry, excuse me, including their stadium. Their stadium's cool. You could even say as far as, the Raiders stadium as well. They've got a really cool stadium that adds to it. It's just the atmosphere of everything. This would be just the wrong move. It's not adding more capacity to the stadium. It's not adding more parking spots, which, by the way, as of 4 hours ago, just for parking alone, you're spending almost $300. No, you are spending $300 for one parking spot outside of Soldier Field. Just an official parking spot outside of Soldier Field, not guaranteed a spot in a certain section or anything like that. One parking spot in that parking lot at Soldier Field is $300. The ticket to get in, just to get in the gate, is around $300 too. And that's just opening day. Like, you're paying $600 to go to a football game. Whereas you could divide that number by 3, still make the same amount of money, and then sell way more tickets at a different stadium as well as maybe host a Super Bowl. I'm a wrestling fan. Go watch On the Mark Wrestling Podcast if you haven't, brought to you by Overtime Sports Network. WrestleManias. I mean, like, you're talking several Final Fours. Like, I mean, you're talking several different possibilities, man. And they're just wanting to slap a dome on the ugliest stadium in the league. Like, it's just the wrong move. End of story.
Yeah, you guys just need to. Again, I understand that, like, there's the history behind Soldier Field, but it's time. The spaceship that it looks like a spaceship has landed in your guys' thing. Like, it's just time to move on. Time to get better. Time to and just think about this. Along comes this new savior, franchise-saving quarterback in his new home. It's just an awesome transition into the next era of Bears football. My only hope is when you guys build your new stadium. Obviously, all the new stadiums now are domes or have their retractable roofs. I just hope you guys build a snow machine on the roof of the stadium so we can still get those Bears snows games.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. That's a good idea.
Just kidding, but yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, Bears weather, and I think that's the problem. Like, if you are going to build a dome on top of Soldier Field. Just build a whole new stadium at that point. Okay.
Yeah.
Because like what's holding you back at that point? You know,
Right.
you can make an argument about them not building a new one, because you know the culture and the weather and all that stuff. But as soon as you build the dome on top of it, it's just gone.
Yeah.
So just build a whole new stadium, make it updated, make it easier to get in and out, put more parking. Soldier Field, it's time. I know it's hard to people here, but like you said, it's time. Usher in this new era of Bears football.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that we have to demolish it either. I mean, I'll expand on this point just for a little bit, because I know, ladies and gentlemen, we have a long podcast episode tonight. But I mean, you don't need to demolish it. There's got endless possibilities for concerts and stuff too. I mean, they're going to make a lot of money off of this. A lot of money. Even if they expand. I mean, both venues are still going to make a ton of money off of different appearances from, you know, several different award-winning artists and stuff going there. And then as well as, you know, still having, you know, the marathons and stuff that they have and everything like that. But without further ado, though, I'm going to get rid of this weekly news headline and what I want to say.
Can we tear down the stadium, turn it into a park, and name it Mitch Trubisky Park? Is that an option for us?
Trubisky Park?
Trubisky Park. Is that an option?
What about Pace Park? Because he tore down the Bears, so he tore down Soldier Field pretty much.
Exactly.
Anyways, speaking of tearing things down, we got to break down the Bears roster. So we promised this on last week's episode, didn't make it happen for whatever reason. You know, it's totally okay because we pushed it to this one. We promised you guys this is going to happen. I had a little bit of a wake-up call. What was it, last night? I believe we talked about it a little bit.
Yes.
So there are certain things to where I understand a little bit of what the media is saying, but I do want to break down why we titled our podcast this week what we titled it. The Bears have every right to be optimistic. But Ben, I mean, you've been wanting to break down the roster a certain way, compare them to certain teams. I will say I think that the Bears have a bottom 5 roster right now, on paper right now, but I think that they will perform a certain way that people just don't expect right now. And that's why it's okay to be bottom 5 right now, but just wait, because they'll be, you know, in that playoff tier, or at least in the hunt for that spot towards the end of the season. But we'll get there anyways.
I would argue you guys are the 30th best roster in the NFL. I will take 28, though. 28 would still put you as the 5th best roster in the league, to my point, which is a bottom 5 roster. I would take 28.
Okay.
I would argue 30. The only two you guys are better than would be the Falcons and the Texans. If you want to say you are better than the Seahawks and the Giants, I would disagree on you. I would disagree with that. But if you want to say that, I can understand where you would be coming from. I think you would be wrong, but I could understand where some people would be coming from that point. Me and you did it with the Giants last night. I know we disagreed last night, and that's okay. But
it all came down to the offensive line, and it's just a stalemate at that point, man.
Yes, it came down to the offensive line. We called the quarterbacks a wash because we talked about optimism, and I sent you a stat that the only 2 quarterbacks I think in the last, like, in the Super Bowl era that have started 10 games and haven't thrown more than 8 touchdowns are Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields. Not to say that is Justin Fields a career killer, not to say Justin Fields won't be good, but I think we need to reel it in and we need to wait to see how he's going to do next year. So I'm calling a quarterback a wash, but I think offensive line, or I think all of the offense goes to the Giants in that case. We disagreed on the offensive line.
With the exception of tight end.
With the exception of tight end. You're right. I forgot about tight end. But I think and then I think offensive line or defensive line also goes to.
Can I ask a question really quick?
Yeah.
We talked about tight end just briefly, just about 2 seconds ago.
Yep.
Cole Kmet. This is a make or break season for Cole Kmet.
Yes.
What do you think he'll do this upcoming season with a new regime? Do you think that they will be able, and I know that we talked about scheme and everything like that and how it can vary. Yes. I believe the only reason why they kept Cole Kmet is because he is unproven and we don't necessarily know if he's a strength or a weakness just yet. Yes. He's not a cap casualty right now. So at the moment, we're seeing what he can do as part of a contributor. Do you think that there's a certain way to scheme him up to where he can be, say, top 15?
I think you can make an argument that he's hovering around the 15 range anyways.
Yeah.
So yes, again, me and you have had a conversation off here talking about scheming and how scheming is very, very important. And that plays such a very important role into who is going to succeed and how well Justin Fields is going to succeed and Darnell Mooney and the offense as a whole. So it's hard to predict anything on the offense because we don't know how the scheming is going to be. I think that on a good year, we could say, if we're being optimistic, I think we could say Cole Kmet is a little bit lower than a Mike Gesicki. If he had a good year, I put him just under Mike Gesicki. I think that's like the top he he has this
that's
the best he can be
for his career. You're just saying like next year or this upcoming season, this would be like his ceiling.
Yes,
what he can do.
Yes, that would be his ceiling, and I would say like the best he could probably get is a Mike Gesicki. I don't think you could ever break into the top 5 of tight ends in the NFL ever in his career, but I think he could be a very solid like Jimmy Graham-esque tight end.
Yeah, that's fair. Anyways, yeah, so continue on your little roster breakdown thing though. For the Bears.
I don't feel like I have to make an argument. I think me and you and I think our listeners will both agree. I don't think I have to make an argument for either the Texans or the Falcons. You guys are better than them, and I think everyone will agree with me that you guys are better than Texans and Falcons.
Yeah.
I think everything on the offense is the Bears besides tight end. And I think everything on the defense can go to you guys besides offensive line. And I think that puts the Bears up by 1 point. Or I think that puts the Giants roster up by 1 skill position group. I think the Seahawks is where it gets a little more interesting because the offensive line would be a wash. I think because they're both trash offensive lines.
Yeah.
But I think you guys have a better running back and a better quarterback situation. They have a better and tight end position. They have a better receiving group. I don't think you're going to argue with me on that one.
Yeah.
And then as far as defense, I think honestly, I think the defense is where it gets a little more tough. I think the defense is where it goes back and forth on pretty much every single category where he's like, you can make an argument for either one. And that's why I'm saying I'm having the Bears just below them. But if you wanted to put the Seahawks below them, I would be okay with that.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, they would still be a bottom 5 roster, even if you were to put both the Giants and the Seahawks below them in terms of like worst rosters in the NFL.
Okay. Can I go on my spiel? Because this will take some time.
Okay. I'm just
letting.
Okay.
Just let me know.
Yes,
just
you can go on your spiel. I will say afterwards. I have some following up as a point. The NFL fan bases and NFL fans as a whole talking about cautious optimism, but go for it.
So this Bears team is going to be very, very different this upcoming season. If you don't believe me, literally just watch any highlight from Matt's coming in saying, I think there's an argument for Falcons over Bears. I think there is too. I think there's slightly just because of the offensive factor. But I mean,
I think the offensive line was dog trash for the Falcons. Let's get into this real quick.
Are you counting?
Offensive line was dog trash. Quarterback, you have to give to the Bears because one's okay. Well, actually, we'll call quarterback a wash because we don't know about Marcus Mariota.
I like Marcus Mariota, but
tight end, we'll give to you guys.
No.
Okay, maybe. No,
Kyle Pitts was a Pro Bowler.
As into the Falcons. Give to the Falcons, not you guys. Falcons. I should have clarified. Into the Falcons.
Yep.
Wide receiver. I have to give it to the Bears just because who are the wide receivers for the Falcons right now?
Yeah, they lost a lot. Yeah,
they lost a lot. But then as far as the defense, I think outside of probably the singular cornerback position, you guys have them beat in every single category on defense.
Yeah.
Besides one quarterback position in AJ Terrell, I don't think AJ Terrell makes that defense a better, or I don't think AJ Terrell singularly makes that secondary better than the Bears secondary. So I feel like your guys's as a whole secondary is better. And I think I think in every facet, I think defensive line, linebacker, secondary, you guys are better in all three categories in that. And offensive line is a wash, quarterback is a wash. I think you guys have running back, and I think you guys have wide receiver. So I don't really think there's an argument to be made. I'm going to disagree with you on that one.
Yeah.
But
let me go on my spiel really quick.
Yeah.
If you've listened to the podcast before, if you follow me on Twitter, if you know me as a person, you know I am probably the most optimistic Bears fan that is to grace the earth. However, let me just back this up. So, like I said before, the Bears team is going to be very different this upcoming season. Literally just watch any highlight and you'll just be like, yeah, no, what players transitioned to this year? So yeah, like I said, I mean, the amount of talent lost is shocking, but I understand why they did it. If you look at it, I mean, Poles just wants to strip this team down to the essentials. It's the only things that we have upside to, even if it's just a little bit, but the main factors of our offense and defense, you have Justin Fields, Darnell Mooney, David Montgomery, Cody Whitehair, Tevin Jenkins, even just a little bit just on offense. Then you have Robert Quinn, Roquan Smith, Jalen Johnson, Eddie Jackson on defense. It sucks that we only have 4 defensive players and 5 on offense, but the team got younger ultimately. And with that comes vulnerability. The defense being a big factor, despite what media has to say, though. Positives of this Bears team fall under the pass rush right now. For me, before the Robert Quinn trade, I think, if you have a pass rusher that had 18 sacks last season by himself, that's a plus side, no matter who's starting on the other end. But Travis Gibson, I mean, second year, I believe he had 7 or 8 sacks on the year. You can fact check me on that if you want, but he was in that realm. You have the secondary, which is definitely improved. We've talked about this before. Middle linebacker, I mean, Roquan Smith, could you say anything more? Snubbed of Pro Bowl every single year. Then you have quarterback, in my opinion. He's a bright spot right now. Every time that he hits the field, the game becomes even more watchable. David Montgomery, running back. Khalil Herbert, another running back. Part of the wide receiver core, specifically Darnell Mooney, nobody else. Special teams, they've always been good. They almost won a game against the Packers last season because of it. But then you fall into the negatives of this Bears team. Majority of the wide receiver core. You have tight end. It's unproven talent right now. Cole Kmet has sucked. I'll be completely honest. I love the guy.
Yes.
He's a hometown Bear. He's wanting to stay a Bear. I totally get it. I was the same exact way when I was a kid, except he's living out my dream, basically. Totally get it, except he sucked. He's got bricks for hands. If he could learn how to catch and if he could be schemed correctly, like we talked about before, I could see him improving, but as of right now, he sucks. Offensive line, I mean, aging just a little bit, or they're inexperienced. And then we have lack of run stoppers, man. The defensive tackles that we lost, I mean, just, interior defensive line as a whole. I mean, let's be honest, okay? I understand Akeem Hicks was aging and he was injury prone, but if he was on the field, he was one of the best run stoppers in the league. I don't care who you are. It's Akeem Hicks. But let me get into specifically why I'm optimistic, because now that we've broke down what, in my opinion, the Bears roster, the GM just handpicked the head coach. He shared a vision with Matt Eberflus and saw a great defensive mind that can develop young talent. Poles then decided to mold the rest of the staff around what the team's current strengths are, as previously mentioned, and decided to take the long-term approach. He knows this will be a process, but he's proven in Kansas City that he can find talent, or at least help find talent, extremely well. If not, then he wouldn't have been promoted to player personnel. What was head of player personnel, whatever. But his key scouting contributions, okay, what I want to mention is specifically Patrick Mahomes, Kareem Hunt, 2017, Chris Jones, Tyreek Hill, 2016, Marcus Peters in 2015, Eric Fisher, Travis Kelce, 2013, Dontari Poe, 2012, Justin Houston in 2011, and Eric Berry in 2010. Note, I am not saying specifically Ryan Poles has the clear cut. He is the reason why all these guys got drafted by the Chiefs. I'm just saying he was part of that scouting department and, just that personnel in general, that staff that helped make the decisions to draft these players in general. But when he was the director of player personnel, though, he added Tyrann Mathieu in 2019. That's pretty good, among several other different offensive linemen, defensive linemen, secondary, wide receivers, stuff like that, to help build this Chiefs team into what it is today. The man knows how to negotiate with and find great players and talent that, it's able to build this team, but he needs time and he needs flexibility to do that. Something I really think he was given when Chicago gave him that job. He was needed to make the changes necessary to be able to assemble the next great Bears team, which in my eyes is the next Bears team to win one playoff game. It doesn't necessarily have to be the Super Bowl. One playoff game is the next successful Bears team. I do want to say, when I say that he needed to make the changes necessary, you're talking more specifically the Khalil Mack trade, the Tariq Cohen getting cut. A lot of let me just plug and pull at your heartstrings type deals and, stuff like that. But the thing is what people don't understand is that he helped that team out by getting rid of Khalil Mack. The star power isn't there, but he also cleared off $60 million in cap space just by that deal. And that alone creates space for about 2 Devontae Adams contracts. It's good. That's great. They've got about double that in cap space next offseason. That's before they even extend Roquan Smith or trade Robert Quinn. Clear that off as well. But the thing is if you sit here and you think about it, they could make a ton of moves. I think if the Bears finish bottom 3, expect a high spending offseason just like the Jaguars. But it's even better. Everybody's like, yeah, they're a bottom 5 roster. Cool. Great. Give it to me. Give me a top 5 draft pick this upcoming year and give us a top 5 wide receiver for sure. Literally, I'll take it. I'll take it any day of the week. Does it suck that my team's not going to be winning? Yeah. But the thing is if we can pull that, if we can pull maybe another wide receiver, we're saving money doing that. We're getting a top tier wide receiver and just a rookie. And if he has, let me just hint at it. If he has chemistry with Justin Fields or, originates from the same place, maybe, just maybe it could work out. I wonder who I'm talking about. Anyways, this could work out in the Bears' favor. And not only that, if they were able to draft a top tier wide receiver, could they be able to expend that money elsewhere, perhaps on the offensive line? Abso-freaking-lutely. Or maybe more parts of the wide receiver core, especially because they have some veterans in there. They have, some unproven talent. Look at the tight end position. Are they going to be re-signing David Montgomery? Do they draft another running back or do they re-sign him? They can have the flexibility to make these decisions now starting next offseason. And the best part about all of this is that their schedule this year isn't that hard. The thing is, I think that they will be high spending, just like I said the Jaguars were. Don't think they're going to be as crazy though, and just spend all willy-nilly on Christian Kirk type receivers because they don't deserve it. Also, strictly for Bears fans, Do not expect everything to be resolved in just one offseason. Rome was not built in a day. You give this guy some time, you give this guy some flexibility, and you let it blossom from there. I do want to say, I mean, just like I said before, Deontay Johnson, I mean, that's a possible deal. I'm not going to bank on it, but am I going to say that it's possible? Without a doubt. I think a big splash is to come next offseason. If Roquan Smith stays or not Roquan Smith, if Robert Quinn stays a Bear, even better. But the thing is, I think there's plenty of growth within the next 2 seasons or 2 off seasons worth of financial flexibility and trades and drafts and stuff like that. They own all of the rights to the next 2 years worth of draft picks and more. Like, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. This year's gonna suck. It's fine. If they exceed my expectations, even better. But if they go a little bit below, y'all can just clip that that episode from a couple weeks ago or whatever, and just be like, this idiot had the Bears win in some odd games and everything like that. That's totally fine. It's totally fine. Because the thing is that they will be there, and it'll be okay. And when Chicago's on top, y'all are gonna hate it, but it's gonna be good. It's gonna be so sweet, because we haven't experienced anything like that since 2006. That's the end of my spiel.
Okay, there's a couple touching points, or a couple points I want to touch on. Hey, this shows how just impoverished your guys' franchise is. Is that you said the bar for the next great Bears team is to win a playoff game. That's a pretty impoverished franchise we got going on. Number two, these are 2 smaller points. I think you were hinting at Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Yes.
That he doesn't have chemistry with Justin Fields at all. That's
why I said if he originated from the same person or same thing.
Same college, but he had a whopping, brace yourself here, 10 catches and 49 yards when he played with Justin Fields. So there's it's not quite as big as I think you want to make it. But really, to the main 2 meat and bones points, one specifically for teams that are impoverished like the Bears, and 2 specifically as a whole. You talk about not wanting to spend on these bad contracts, and not spend 20 odd number on Christian Kirk, but the problem is when your team sucks, you have to, because a team's not going to want to play or a player's not going to want to play for you at market value or under market value the same way that they would want to play for the Kansas City Chiefs. You're going to have to pay $22 million or $23 million a year to get in a player, because he would much rather go somewhere else, make under or where he's at, and play for a team that's winning, rather than pay or make just where he's at for a team that's losing. So you're going to have to overpay for players when you suck. Will the Bears maybe get there one day? I'm sure every team gets there one day. The Eagles hadn't won a Super Bowl ever until they got there. So every team will get there one day. But the problem is like, you're going to have to overpay, especially this offseason. This offseason, or the next coming offseason, you're going to overpay. And I feel like there are going to be contracts. And if you don't overpay, then you're just not getting players that are good. Because
you got to take a risk.
What?
You got to take a risk, though.
Absolutely. But like, that's why you guys are overpaying. Like, you just have to take that risk, and you're going to do like, and that's why, and you talk about the Honey Badger, but part of the reason Honey Badger wanted to even come in KC in the first place is because they were winning. Winning culture brings in winning players.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just how it is. But the NFL as a whole, like, people just need to, like, teams are too in fans, and this is coming from an Eagles fan who thinks we can win 12 games this year, okay? But I have to stop and think to myself, like, every team thinks they're going to get there. Every fan thinks their team is going to do this, and every fan's like, we have to do this, and this, and it doesn't work. There's only one team that wins the Super Bowl every year. This is everyone. This isn't
I'm not saying a Super
Bowl
is going to come.
This is Saints fan. This is Packers fans. This isn't. I'm not even trying to single you out. This is fans as a whole. Again,
Cowboys,
Saints fans, Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders, everyone. There's one team that wins the Super Bowl. There are 14 teams that make the playoffs. Okay, like you're not just competing and no one else is growing and it's just you guys that are growing. And to your point too, you're talking about Ryan Poles, and I do think Ryan Poles will succeed, but there's obviously a chance that he doesn't, because every new GM is getting hired under the belief that they're good at their job, and obviously not every GM is actually good at their job. With Ryan Pace, the Bears weren't like, let's hire this guy because he's gonna suck. Like, so every GM is expected to be good at their job. We'll wait and see. I like some of the stuff Poles is doing. Is there some stuff that I wish he would have done this offseason? Absolutely. But you can't judge, a GM off of one singular year. Boy, do I know that more than anyone else. Look at Harry Roseman. So you can't judge him off a single year yet, but I think we need to pump our brakes a little bit. And I think there needs to be a finer line. I don't think there's black and white. I don't think there's optimism and crazy. I think there needs to be a more gray area that people aren't touching on as an NFL fan, as a whole. There's not like we're going to lose 3 or 4 games or, win a playoff game. Lord knows you as a Bears fan know that there is that in between and where you guys lie.
Oh, yeah, no. Odds are, what's going to happen? They're either going to finish bottom 5. They're either going to finish top of the line. They're not going to do either one of those things. They're going to finish right in the middle, and they're going to get a crappy draft pick because that's exactly what happens every single year.
Stuck it's going to stay middling mediocrity.
Yeah.
But no, I think I truly, based off of what Poles did this offseason, and this is a conversation me and you and Matt have had off air. I think right now, and I really like that Poles is just leaning into what he's doing. Teams just try to scrap and fight and claw to stay relevant and are not letting their young guys just develop. I mean, look at the Panthers. They drafted Matt Corral this year instead of saying, all right, we're going to embrace the suck this year, but we're going to have our guy develop. We're going to go and get this mediocre guy. And I do appreciate that Poles isn't signing these mid-tier free agents, and he's just letting his young guys go out and play, and he's letting his young guys go out and suck and make those mistakes in hopes that they will get past that and they will learn from that. So I do appreciate that Poles isn't doing this like middle stuff and signing these middle tier players and just staying in the middle. And he is letting his younger guys develop, and I appreciate that as an outside fan looking in. So
yeah. That was good. Went a lot better than I thought. Anyways, moving on to my second favorite team, we're gonna go ahead and predict some schedules, huh? Let's get into this. This week we're doing this. In my opinion,
specifically.
Yeah. In my opinion, we are doing the 2 best teams in the AFC North today. So Ben, you want to? I'll go down the list if you want to go ahead and.
Yeah, I'll go down the list here. Again, the reason I say I hate that we're doing this team today is just because, as we've said before, the quarterback position very much changes how many wins and losses this team is going to have. I think Jacoby Brissett is probably the first or second best backup in the league. Obviously, that's just off the top of my head. But obviously having Deshaun Watson greatly helps your chances. So it's hard to, if he's suspended for 12 games versus, 3 games, their win-loss, looks completely different.
With that being said, let me change courses. Let me go first. Because as a Browns fan as well, for those that haven't listened before or don't already know, I have family in Cleveland. I root for the Browns because of that. Unless they're playing the Bears, just like last season, I rooted for the Bears over the Browns. It kind of sucked. It was kind of weird, but at the same time, I was like, man, screw the Browns, especially because they're sacking my quarterback 9 times in the same game. Screw them. Anyways, no, we're gonna go ahead and predict this. Week 1 in Carolina, Baker Mayfield gets his revenge, baby. Panthers are winning that game. The Jets are gonna win, or no, sorry, next week the Jets are gonna lose. So it's gonna be 1-1 start in the season for the Browns. Last episode I had the Browns beating the Steelers, so I'm gonna keep that for week 3. Week 4, the Browns will beat the Falcons. Week 5, they're gonna lose to the Chargers. Week 6, I have them beating the Patriots. Week 7, losing to the Ravens. Week 8, I had them beating the Bengals at home. Just last episode. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. Okay, so then I have them losing to the Dolphins, losing to the Bills, losing to the Buccaneers, beating the Texans, losing to the Bengals, winning to the against the Ravens and Saints, Commanders, and then Steelers to finish out the year with an 11-7 record.
Okay.
I think this team is a lot better than what people are giving them props for, especially I know Deshaun Watson's up in the air and everything like that, but if the NFL is willing to give him a 12-week suspension, it could be a little bit less.
It won't even be 12. With him arguing it, it's going to be less than 12.
It is. I'm thinking around 6 to 8, just like we said last episode.
I'm guessing 8, yeah.
But they have a pretty, thankfully for them, they have a pretty easy first stretch between the Panthers, Jets, Steelers, Falcons, and then they have Chargers and Patriots, which is a little bit of a tough one, especially with the Ravens and Bengals following that as well. So, but I definitely think, looking at this right now, if it's an 8-week suspension, Deshaun Watson will come back.
The Dolphins game.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4,
it's the
5,
Dolphins
6,
game.
7, 8. Yeah. So no, it'll be the Dolphins game, and they'll lose that game. I will say this: they're either going to win against the Bengals at home, or they're going to lose to the Dolphins in Week 9. It just depends on Deshaun Watson and how he's doing. But 11-7 for me. Ben, what you got?
Well, I have been very boisterous pretty much all year long. And this was before the Deshaun Watson trade happened and before we knew everything that is happening. And obviously we're still left in the dark. We kind of don't know. And hopefully by the next time you guys see us, we will know what's going on. But that being said, I have definitely voiced my opinion that I said with Deshaun Watson as a quarterback for the Browns that they are Super Bowl contenders. And I did say that numerous times before the trade even happened. Yeah. That being said, I'm going to guess he's not coming back until week 9, which would be that Dolphins. That's just based off, an educated guess. It could be less, could be more. Educating guess. We're going to say 8 games.
Okay.
That being said, I like exactly where your mind is at. I think they beat the Panthers. The Panthers beat them.
Yeah.
They lose to the Panthers because, Deshaun Watson's out and Baker Mayfield's going to do his thing. Baker Mayfield's going to take it personally, as he should. So
he's going to wake up feeling dangerous that day. It's going to be great.
Yeah, so they're going to lose to the Panthers, but with Jacoby Brissett, he's going to take him on a nice 3-game win streak against the Jets, Steelers, and Falcons.
Okay.
They're going to feel real good about themselves going to this Chargers game. Sadly, they're going to lose 3 games to the Chargers, Patriots, and Ravens.
Okay.
And then I think Jacoby Brissett is going to do, some Jacoby Brissett stuff. I think they'll win against the Bengals. Yeah. So they've split their time with Deshaun Watson, dead even at 500, winning 4, losing 4.
Okay.
I think Deshaun Watson is going to struggle getting into the swing of things, and I think he's going to lose his first 3 games back against the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Bucs.
Okay.
I think that they are going to beat the Texans, and I think they're going to lose to the Bengals. But then I think they're going to beat the Ravens, the Saints, and the Commanders. So that puts them at 8 wins, and I think they'll probably close it out.
8 losses as well. but then
and then that puts them at 8 wins and 8 losses, and then I think they close it out with the Steelers, barely squeaking above 500, and they'll be going 8-9. But again, so much of that depends on where Deshaun Watson is.
Right.
So,
all right, and then after that, we have our Ravens schedule predictions.
This team is the scariest team in the NFL that no one is talking about.
Yeah, they're gonna fly under the radar, and I don't mean fly as like a pun either. So they're gonna start off with a 3-game win streak against the Jets, Dolphins, and Patriots. They're gonna lose against the Bills. They're gonna beat the Bengals, as I said in last episode. They're gonna beat the Giants, beat the Browns, beat the Buccaneers, lose against the Saints, because they're playing in New Orleans. It'll be that game that they should win, but they're not going to because they're cocky and they play down to their opponents after a big win. They're going to beat the Panthers, Jaguars, Broncos, and Steelers, and then lose to the Browns in Cleveland. Then they're going to beat the Falcons, beat the Steelers, beat the Bengals to finish 14-3. Finish as bona fide Super Bowl contenders for sure.
I'm going to make a lot of people very angry here. But I am literally with you on every single game we went through on that one, besides the last one.
Okay.
I think they go 13-4 because they will be. I think they'll have their bye heading. Wow. The inconsistency between episode to episode on this. I feel like we've had like 7 teams have the bye. That's besides the point.
Yeah. It's okay.
But,
well, I mean. Okay, from episode to episode, keep in mind this is our second AFC division that we finished with. And our first AFC division that we had, let's see really quick. Our first one was the AFC East, I believe, because, and I mean, we had the Bills in that one. Oh, man, I had the Jets going 10-7. But, I mean, looking at everything, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibilities either. I mean, but yeah.
But no, I was with you with all of them, but I do think the Ravens are going to have the bye at that point. They're going to rest their players so they can get 2 weeks of rest because they'll have the bye week and then the Bengals. So instead of them going 14-3, I'm going to have them going 13-4 because they're going to lose to that Bengals because they're resting their starters.
Okay. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and say what we've had for our give me just a second. Sorry. Okay, yeah. So for our AFC North standings predictions, we have me coming in. Okay, I'll just say mine first. Ravens are finishing on top, 14-3. Browns in second with 11-6. Bengals in third at 8-9. And then Steelers at 7-10. Ben, yours are give me just a second. I wrote down the wrong one. You have the Ravens at 13-4, Browns at 9-8, Bengals tied with them at 9-8, and then Steelers just a game below them at 8-9. So
yeah, I could see that happening.
Very, very competitive. But I mean, the Ravens are coming out on top pretty much. So that, I mean, pretty quick schedule predictions, especially because we agreed on the Ravens. I mean, they're dominant, or at least they should be. So
speaking of a good time for our last 2 segments.
Oh, we got a few more, man.
A few more. I thought we only had 2. I thought we had Weddle and Goof, Gridiron Goofs, but
we have 2 more. Or no, not 2 more. Yeah, 2 more on top of those.
2 more on top of those.
We're doing our team rank. We were supposed to do this last week.
Yes. Oh, I came up with this one.
Yeah. Right. So we were supposed to do this last week, but we didn't. I'm more excited for next segment too, so stay tuned.
Should have thrown. Can we replace the Bear? I guess we've already had it. Never mind. We've already had a conversation about the Bears in this.
So,
but again, like Ryan said, I want to make this clarification. This was supposed to be last week's. This was before Baker Mayfield. So you look at the Houston, Carolina, Seahawks, and Jacksonville. There's a clear one above the 3. So this was made last week. Just for those who are like, what is Carolina doing in there? So, but sorry.
Yeah. So, all right, I'll go first.
This is easy to me.
I have Jacksonville. Okay, just to be clear, if you can't see on screen, if you're listening to the podcast, it's Houston, Carolina, Seattle, and Jacksonville are the teams that we're ranking. That's not my order, though. My order is Jacksonville on top, Seahawks on number 2, Panthers number 3, close behind them. It's like 2A and 2B between those two, and then Texans at number 4.
Really? Okay. I think this stems a conversation for next week's episode as to where Baker Mayfield puts the Carolinas. So next week's episode, I guess we're coming up with this on the fly. Listen to them. We'll talk a little bit. We're not going to do a roster breakdown like we did with the Bears, but we'll have a conversation with where we now think Carolina is based off of the move that they did with Baker.
I don't think it changes very much. But.
See, I disagree. I think the quarterback, as we've talked about this, we are definitely a little bit more on different sides of the argument. I think the quarterback is a huge proponent with how good a team is. So I think it's Carolina at 1.
Okay.
Jacksonville not too far behind them. Okay. And then I think I think we see a gap.
Okay.
And then I think it's Seahawks and Houston. Like real close. Seahawks and Houston are real close. There's a gap, and Carolina and Jackson are real close. So just one more time. That is Carolina, Jacksonville, Seahawks, and Texans.
Very, very fair. Anyways, all right, moving on quickly to our next segment. This is the one that I've really been looking forward to. Project and re-rank the 2021 NFL draft quarterbacks.
We're splitting this up into 2 groups, by the way.
What?
We're splitting up the quarterbacks into 2 separate groups. I'm sure you guys will realize real quick as to why we're splitting up. There were 10 quarterbacks drafted in this draft, by the way.
So basically, with this segment, we're going to project where they will be in the next 5 years and rank them through that projection from best to worst. So just to clarify, just in case people didn't already know, but like don't remember, this was the class of Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond, Davis Mills, Ian Book, and Sam Ehlinger, in order from first to last. But that's not my projections for the next 5 years. Ben, do you have your rankings set? If not, then I can go ahead and do mine.
Yes. So I have my rankings set. As I've said before, I'm splitting this up into a group of 5. For those wondering who those 5 are, that's Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, not in any order, not in particular order, Mac Jones, and who did I forget? Zach Wilson. Okay. So you're probably not going to be happy with me. Again, one of these quarterbacks you're going to be okay with. The other one, people are probably going to be mad that I have above Fields. But out of those 5, real quick, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields.
Say it again. Say it one more time.
All right.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence at 1, Zach Wilson at 2, Justin Fields at 3, Trey Lance at 4, Mac Jones at 5.
Okay. See, with that, I'll go ahead and say mine.
Yeah.
So I have a 1A and 1B.
Mm-hmm.
I have Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields for 1A and 1B. And then I have Trey Lance. I almost want to say like 1C because I think Trey Lance is going to be doing pretty good after watching some more film on him and everything. Mac Jones at 3 on my rankings. Zach Wilson at 4. Davis Mills at 5. So, yeah, just because 1A and 1B. But did you rank Kellen Mond?
Davis, the next group of 5 I did as well. I think there's a clear-cut number 6. And was really debating about putting number 6 higher. It's Davis Mills at 6.
Yeah.
But then I think Davis Mills, and then there are 2 that are next, and then there's another group of 2 that are after that. But then I think it's Davis Mills. I've always been a Kellen Mond guy.
Yes.
Matt will vouch for me. I've been a Kellen Mond guy.
Me too.
Literally, like I don't know how many people knew how I was about Matt Corral, but like I was higher. Like Kellen Mond was my Matt Corral of that draft. I loved Kellen Mond.
Oh yeah.
So then I have Davis Mills at 6, Kellen Mond at 7, Kyle Trask at 8, and then I think there's a drop off with these next 2 guys. Then I think it's Sam and then Ian Book.
See, my rankings are the exact same, except Ian's over Sam, but it's interchangeable because those guys are going to be pretty much career backup guys anyway. Yeah. So,
but it doesn't top matter. 5, I think, is when it gets the top 5 are the important ones. And it was so tough to rank those top 5 guys.
All I want to say is that I believe Kellen Mond can get higher if he was in a better situation, but because he's drafted to Minnesota, where I mean, it sucks. If he were placed in Houston, for example, if he were placed in Carolina, if he were placed in Seattle right now, I mean, there's dude, if he would have been in Seattle, bro, when Russell Wilson was there, because Kellen Mond could have like at least been mentored.
Learned from him a little bit.
Oh my God, that would have been so sweet. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. But yeah, I definitely think Kellen Mond would have been placed higher. It's just because of where he's at and the development and everything. It's just not there compared to the other guys. But I'm happy we agreed on that too. That made me feel good because I did strictly all scouting on that draft by myself. We didn't even talk about that really. It's just like,
Yeah, I think we're in agreement. Mac Jones is number 5. Again, those 5, just touching back on that real quick, was tough because I could see any of those 4, the top 4, Mac Jones. I feel like it's gonna be pretty average his entire career.
Yeah.
But those 4 guys just have such immense upside that it is just so hard to project. And as we've talked about earlier in this episode, scheming is so important, and your coaching staff and your situation is so important to how well a quarterback's development is played. Mm-hmm. So it's tough. But yeah, I could any of those 4 outside of Trevor Lawrence. So the Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, and Trey Lance are like, I think you can order those in any 3 which way. So
hold on a minute. Let me check my watch. You know what time it is?
I think I do know what time it is.
It's Weddle time, baby. It's Weddle time. It's just that time of the week where we're ready. We're ready to play some Weddle. And so if you remember, if you were here just last week, you guys remember that we kind of zeroed out. Nobody necessarily won, nobody necessarily lost. However, the last person that did win was me. So
we are tied 3-3 still, by the way.
We are tied 3-3. Thanks for keeping score because I wasn't. So props to you. But I get second pick because I like picking second as well. Oh yeah. Yeah. All right, Ben, you can go ahead and pick first though on this easy one where we help each other out just to refresh.
Jalen Hurts. For those who don't, as he's typing this in, I feel like it's important.
NFC East quarterback.
It's for those who don't know. I'm sure everyone knows what Wordle is. I'm sure everyone knows what Wordle is. As far as Weddle. Yes, but Wordle is just. I'm sure everyone knows what it is. Weddle is just the football version of Wordle, where we guess position, team, quarterback, age, number, and then obviously player.
So what we revealed so far, NFC East and its quarterback, he is taller than 6'2". He is older than 28, and his number is higher than 4. So,
all right. Well, this is very clearly one person. It can't be Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is too young. Tis a shame. It is Carson the Commander.
Carson the commie, baby. Carson the commie.
That was pretty easy. Just based off of age and number and position, I knew who it was. And I think I hope you wouldn't have put Daniel Jones based off of age.
No. All right. So hard mode. So this is where we don't help each other out. But
yes,
Ben, you're going first, buddy.
And for those who don't know, it's 10 guesses, so 5 each for me, 5 each for Ryan. If we get to guess 9 and 10, it's a wash. No one gets the win. And then on guess 9 and 10, we get to look up. We get one Google search. So
all right.
Let's keep it. Let's do a nice AJ Brown.
All right, so that revealed literally nothing, except that he's in the NFC. Let's see. He's not an offensive player, so I'm gonna go with Jalen Johnson. Oh, it's a bear! It's a bear!
If you don't smoke me, like
Dude,
if I'm
this.
throwing this out here now. If I win, I will be holding this over your head
for sure.
Next, month.
And it'll start right after we're done recording too, and I just know it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, just because now we still don't know if it's offense or defense. Do you want to throw some Gibson action in there? I don't know how to spell his name.
Gibson?
Yes.
Travis Gibson?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I knew it wasn't him because he's a little bit older than Jalen Johnson. And he's not.
Oh, I didn't see the height. Oh, my Lord, I know who it is.
It's got to be. No, wait, it's not a wide receiver.
I know. Come on. If you don't get this, I'm gonna shit on you for it.
Let's see. Hold on. I'm very hesitant right now. Dude, this is terrifying because it's got to be. It's got to be a shorter guy. Who's shorter? I'm just thinking shorter positions. Okay. I mean, I guess I'll go with.
That's who I. Yeah.
Will Herbert. Yeah, 5'9", and he's still shorter than 5'9". Who are we signing, Chicago? Dude, we signed my little sister, bro.
I don't know if it's on offense or defense. This is scary. Because are they classifying slot?
Dude.
And it's not a wide receiver, not a running back. Has to be a safety.
Bro.
Jaquan Brisker is too tall.
Who did we sign that's short?
Here, scroll down as for the age. Let me see.
He's
older than 25. Safety would be my guess. But I feel like if it was safety, it would have turned yellow.
Yeah, I mean, dude.
I'm trying to think who is your guys' safeties.
Who is
opposite of Jaquan Brisker, and
I think I have an idea.
If you want to take it away, dog. I mean, go for it.
No,
because
I'm not taking your guess.
No, go for it. I really don't care.
I know. Why did I guess that? He's not a running back. But I mean, he's along the same height too. So, all right. So just to keep you updated at home, we've guessed AJ Brown, Jalen Johnson, Travis Gibson, Khalil Herbert, Darrington Evans. So he was a running back from Tennessee that we signed But dude, who is shorter than 5'9" on the Chicago Bears, bro? Like, who did we sign? This is just bad, dude. You signed a toddler. Like, bro.
It's tough that we don't even know if they're on offense or defense.
It's just the height that's throwing us off.
That's the thing. What other small position? It's a safety, but I can't think of a safety. Y'all hurting me. No, because Cohen's gone, my dog.
Yeah.
It can't be Cohen. It can't be Jakeem Grant either, because Jakeem Grant's a Brown now.
Yeah.
So it can't be Jakeem Grant either. Then that's who my mind went to, because
bro,
he would have been the only player that would have come to my mind, but Jakeem Grant is gone.
The fact that we don't know if it's offense or defense too, because we've guessed both offense and defense, and nothing's coming up. I don't know, man. It's your guess though, because I mean, yeah, Matt's saying y'all heard me. Oh, yeah. Okay.
It ain't offense and it ain't defense. I don't even know who you guys' kicker
Oh,
is.
dude. It can't be him.
Yeah, Pat O'Donnell signed away, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
I don't know who your guys' kicker is.
I mean, I'll try it.
Go for it. I didn't realize special teams was
It
in
is
here.
Cairo Santos.
There you go. I didn't realize special teams was in here.
I didn't either. So what do you want to do for this week?
Do you want to put it as a wash?
I was going to say, yeah, let's put it as a wash because neither one of us knew that it was special teams that could be on here. But, I mean, yeah. Because, I mean, dude, yeah. No,
I didn't realize special teams was on. I was an idiot. I'm like, not defense, not offense.
What could it be, though?
I didn't even realize that they had special teams on here.
All right. So we've got a fun gridiron goose for you guys today. It's a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're doing a fight to the death for NFL mascots. Now, let me explain this too. So it's not okay. There's strict rules and stipulations with this as well. So this is basically, what is a mascot? So commander is like, for example, the leader of an army, or a jet is just like the physical jet. Like it can't come to life or anything like that. It's just a jet, right?
It's just a singular jet.
And then, just thinking like that, like who would win in an all-out war between our teams? You guys can put in the comments and everything who you guys think won and everything like that after we're done. But Ben gets the very first pick of the whole draft. And Ben, without further ado.
Yeah, well, this one's pretty easy. Oh, okay. Other stipulation: one human per team. We can't have what?
Excluding the
Titan and Giant because they're like a special type of human. Yeah. But like we can't have like a cowboy, a commander, and a Viking on our team. We can't have all three of them. It's one person per team.
Yeah.
Obviously the easy answer here is a Titan.
Okay.
If you don't pick a Titan, you're wrong.
So for me, just to kind of compete with that, I got to go with the Giant just because, it's an easy one too, but
it's easy. Yeah, it's an easy one too. See, this is where it gets tough as far as picking a human. I knew that I wanted to go with I'm not saying this is what I'm going with. I was really thinking Buccaneer at first, and you screwed yourself over last night by convincing me to pick the Viking.
Yeah, that's the most disappointing
I'm picking
thing.
The Viking. I wasn't going to pick the Viking. You screwed yourself over yesterday by
Yeah, we talked about this last night just because we were so excited about the segment and how we were supposed to do it last week, but we didn't have time, and it's totally okay. But the thing is like, man, like the potential for this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But what can take out a Viking? And to me, as cool as a Viking is, what you don't know is that I talked you out of a Buccaneer, because a Viking is basically just the leveled down version of a Buccaneer. They're essentially the same exact thing.
Not true at all.
They're essentially the same exact thing, except Buccaneers can handle it more long distance.
A Buccaneer is a pirate who their fighting skills are not the same. When
you say Viking, I'm assuming that this Viking has a ship and everything like that. So everything equipped with the ship as far as weapons and stuff like that. When you say Buccaneer, I'm saying cannons.
One's pillage. Me and you put the stipulation in like we're a person. We're not taking the ship and all like we'll give you like a pistol or whatever.
Oh yeah, no, give me a Buccaneer.
So we're not taking a. You miss your shot, you're screwed, my guy. You miss your shot, you're done. And those guns, not very accurate at all. My Vikings pillaged and I mean pillaged countries and villages. Your guy took over a pirate ship. Congratulations.
You're talking a lot of years in between that, buddy. But
by the way, you should have picked a raider.
It's the same thing, pretty much.
No.
But we're done with humans now. We're done with humans.
This is where it starts getting actually fun. I know what my pick here is too, and I know what my next pick is going to be if you pick it wrong as well. Okay. I'm picking a lion.
Okay. That's fair. With that, dolphin. I'm just kidding. No. What's it?
I know what my next pick is here too, dog.
What's it have to be? Let me just go down the line. No. If anything, I should have picked a chief last round. But anyways, let's see. Oh, dude, what else is there? Oh, let me just say, while I'm thinking about it, Ben, you want to explain how funny it was when we brought up the possibility of picking a saint last night?
Oh yeah, we were just talking about like what a saint would do. I'd just be like a poor like priest, like Father Thomas, just like sitting in the corner holding like a cross, just like praying or something.
Yeah.
And I toyed with the idea, and I told this to Ryan, about getting a commander as my human and having my next one be a jet. So my commander could ride the jet, and then that would be over. But I think we ruled that as a like not allowed.
Yeah. All right. So with mine, I think I have to go Bengal then to compete with the lion.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna do.
Yeah.
See, and then there's another. I feel like there's another next clear and obvious tier.
Mm-hmm.
But just to make you mad, we're taking a bear.
Okay.
That's not the tier that I was talking about, but I'm taking the bear.
All right, because you know what's faster than a bear? A panther.
Yeah, the panther and the jaguar that I was going to say are the next two tiers.
Yeah.
But a bear, I think, could destroy a panther. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
See, and this is where the first pick, like that Titan, is just carrying my team. Like,
yeah,
it was over as soon as the Titan was my first pick.
Pretty much, yeah. But it's okay. Because if we were to just clear out and just wash the giant and the Titan, like those were clear and obvious, like 1 and 2. But like, if we were to just go off of teams, I mean, this is a pretty even matchup then.
Fairly even.
I would say I would be winning if I didn't give away my Viking last night, but yeah.
You did give away your Viking last night.
But I think I got the speed factor on it as far as Bengal and Panther compared to Lion and Bear.
Yeah, but speed factor, you're going to have to get close to me anyways.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, you know, it's not like we're running away here. We're in like a Coliseum fight to the death situation.
True.
Yeah.
I know my next pick if you don't do it.
Well, I know what we're both thinking. We're both thinking a Jaguar. Sure. I don't know if the Jaguar is the move here, though. There's another one that I'm thinking about. Imagine if I'm just like a Packer.
Yeah. Just pack some cheese in there.
Give me the Packers.
Give me Packers.
Can I get
the Browns because they're elves,
please? Yeah, an elf, right?
Yeah, that's a cool logo. Okay, it's a cool mascot. They need to bring it back. Or are you talking Dog Pound? Because Dog Pound's pretty cool too. The dog that they have is pretty cool too.
Would a Texan be like Bill Clinton or something?
Dude, that's straight up just somebody that lives in Texas, bro.
It's just
you're talking. That's who it is. No, what you're getting with a Texan is every headline ever that says Texas man, and then like following Texas man. Like, nothing good follows Texas man.
Nothing good ever follows Texas man. Just like nothing good ever follows Florida man. Yeah,
No, you get Mike
we're gonna have
McCarthy
to
if
go
you get a
with
Texan. And I
We're
know,
gonna have
no,
to
you get
what?
Lovie Smith. You get Lovie Smith. I was gonna
You know-
say a Texan because Mike McCarthy is in Dallas and blah blah, but you get Lovie Smith, and Lovie Smith doesn't
Yeah.
do anything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know more than anyone else.
I
what
love
Lovie
Lovie
Smith does
Smith.
here.
Let's screw
Again,
Michael.
Steeler. I could just pick a steel worker. It'd be phenomenal. A charger, just like
Just the little, yeah,
just like an iPhone charger, just like plugged into the wall. It doesn't
Yeah.
actually do anything. It's just plugged into the wall.
All right. What's your pick, bro?
But yeah, I think we're gonna have to do the cop out answer. I think we're doing a Jaguar, and this is where it gets tough. What do you pick here?
This is clear cut to me, and I think it might be the steal of the draft in terms of animals.
Are you thinking of a buffalo?
I am not, but it's very close, and I'm thinking of a ram.
Then,
because the thing is, you make a ram mad, like, that's pretty. That's
even a ram versus a jaguar. The jaguar is winning.
I'm just saying. I mean, as far as ram versus bear.
I think bear, dude. A bear's claws. That's a knife mitten right there, my guy.
It is. I'll give you that. But the thing is, I mean,
a knife mitten.
The horns.
What a way to describe it. This is fun. I enjoyed just like envisioning, like again, like a charger, or like a or a packer. I enjoyed doing this exercise. It put a smile on my face. I'm glad that we carried this one over this episode.
Guys, I hope that dude, first off, I just want to say I hope that we see a lot of comments saying who won this, because there's a lot of competition here. It's not clear cut, but if you made it this far, we want to say thank you for listening all the way through. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Pigskin Project. We have a lot scheduled for next week's show as well. Trust me, we're working our tails off, making sure that this is the best football podcast on the face of this planet, and it will be for the rest of the time, and I promise you that. But we are working our tails off to make sure that we have a lot scheduled throughout, the rest of the offseason. This is going to be a good show come opening day, and I'm so excited to see how many more people show up and everything like that, just to find out who we are and what we are to provide. But we would
real quick, I'd like to step into, and this is just crazy, and this is more of something for me and you than it is for our audience. Next episode that we put out for you guys is the half-year mark that this podcast has been alive.
No way, bro.
Yeah.
No way. Dude, this will be a top podcast within the next year, and I am willing to stand on that hill and die on it. I promise you. So thank you guys. If you guys are listening right now, thank you guys for being a part of you guys are steering the bandwagon right now. And the people are just going to start jumping on and everything. It'll be okay. But we'd like to give a big thank you to the people that have sponsored us and been able to help us promote our podcast thus far, as far as Anchor.fm, Uppercuts Grooming, Regional Radio Sports Network, and Overtime Sports Network for helping us promote our podcast. And please, please, please leave a review down below, whether that's YouTube, whether that's Spotify, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Twitter, anything. As it helps us more than you know. If you need to see anything, if you guys want any other content, just let us know.
Yes.
But that is it for this week. So thanks again for tuning in to the Pigskin Project. And ladies and gentlemen, really quick, before we let you guys go, please, for the love of God, listen to Bustworthy. This guy, I don't know who this guy is. I mean, Matt Hardman, I don't know who that guy is. It's almost like, maybe he would want to comment or something like that. Maybe if he's shown up on the podcast a couple times, that'd be pretty cool.
And maybe he'll show up on the podcast here very shortly within the next couple weeks.
Yeah. Who knows? But the guy runs a great show, and he covers all the headlines and everything like that. Whenever something cool happens, go ahead and listen to Bustworthy. It's on Spotify. It's on YouTube. Dude, this guy, just follow it, listen to it, support it. This guy does a great job. But Matt Harmon coming in. That guy has a podcast? Dude, he does, and he's great. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. And we are less than 2 months away from the return of NFL football, in which we will be covering right here live on the Pigskin Project every single week, every single Thursday. For ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for tuning in. And until next time, this has been Ben Hansen and Ryan Matthews signing off for this week's Pigskin Project episode. See you later.